Today I want to show you the paternal line of Charles, Prince of Wales, the future King of the United Kingdom. So the paternal line would be the male line, so we're going to look at his father and his father's fathers and his father's father's father and so forth. And we're going to trace that line back as far as we can go, looking only at the male line ancestors, known also as the agnatic ancestors. And I'm going to use this European royal family tree chart again, which you can find on my website, usefulcharts.com. So let's go here to Charles, Prince of Wales, heir apparent to Queen Elizabeth II, the current monarch of the United Kingdom. Once he becomes king, his heir apparent would then be Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge. And then after William, the throne would pass to the new Prince George of Cambridge. So normally in the past, in other historical periods, when a female monarch had a child who became monarch after, that child would normally take the house name from the father. And so at that point, the house name would change. Kind of like if we go up here, Queen Victoria was from the House of Hanover. But when her son, King Edward VII, became king, the house name changed and was named after the father. That was the custom throughout most of history. So the house name changed from Hanover to the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. Now, incidentally, that house name was then changed to Windsor during World War I because of this very German-sounding name. But this house is actually the same house as this. So the current house, royal house in the United Kingdom, is the House of Windsor. And the current queen, Queen Elizabeth, has stated that her wish is that after her death, future monarchs would continue using this name as the house name instead of changing it. And that so it wouldn't matter in future if we get a male or female monarch, the house name would always stay the same. And there was actually a law passed throughout the various Commonwealth countries so that in future, the firstborn child, whether it was male or female, would always become the monarch. Now, it just so happens that Queen Elizabeth's firstborn was a male, and then Charles' firstborn was a male, and then William's firstborn was a male. So we are going to get a line of males, a line of kings out into the future. But let's imagine far into the future, the young Prince George is now King George, and he has a firstborn daughter. That daughter would then become queen before any younger brothers. And if Queen Elizabeth II's wishes are still being followed far into the future, they will all belong to the House of Windsor. But in this video, we're going to look at the paternal ancestors. So we're going to look at the House of Prince Philip, Charles' father. Now, Prince Philip was originally a prince of Greece and Denmark. He actually gave up those titles, though, when he married Queen Elizabeth, and that's why he's now known as the Duke of Edinburgh. But originally, he was of Greece and Denmark, and therefore his relatives are from those royal families. And his father was Prince Andrew of Greece and Denmark. So this would be the grandfather, paternal grandfather of Charles, Prince of Wales. And this individual was brother of King Constantine I of Greece. And these two brothers, their father was King George I of Greece. So the elder son, he became king, and so the kings of Greece follow from his line until the monarchy was abolished in the 1970s. But this younger brother married Prince Alice of Battenberg, and became these two individuals become the parents of Prince Philip. Now, Prince Philip sometimes uses the name Mountbatten. It's kind of a surname. And the reason for that, it's actually named after his mother's side of the family. Battenberg is anglicized to Mountbatten, Battenberg being a German name, but because his closest English or British connection is through his mother's side of the family, he considers Mountbatten to be his British name, and therefore he uses that as his surname. But if we follow his paternal line, it goes back to this individual who's the son of a king of Greece. And this king of Greece is actually a son of a king of Denmark. And that's why he still retains that title, or had that title, Prince of Greece and of Denmark, because he's a descendant of this king of Greece, but also of this king of Denmark. So what happened here? King Christian IX was king of Denmark, and his eldest son then becomes king after him. And then the line continues through that son all the way down to the current queen, Queen Margrethe of Denmark. But at this time, Greece reestablished its monarchy, and they chose as their king a younger brother here, a son of King Christian IX of Denmark. And so this one house, the royal house of Denmark, then rules over both Denmark and Greece. And interestingly enough, Norway also eventually decided it wanted to reestablish a monarchy, and they chose as their king, again, a son of a Danish king. So a younger son. So King Frederick the VIII's older son becomes king of Denmark, but a younger son becomes king of Norway. So this individual, king of Denmark, his paternal descendants become kings of Greece, kings of Norway, and kings of Denmark. So 3 different countries ruled by this same house. And if Charles, Prince of Wales, were to take the house name of his father, the United Kingdom would then also be ruled by this same house. Now, of course, Greece doesn't have a monarchy anymore, so it would be Denmark, Norway, and the United Kingdom, all from this house. And the name of that house is House of Glücksburg. And technically the full name is Schleswig-Holstein-Sonderburg-Glücksburg. And I hope I pronounced all that correctly. It's quite a long name, and that's why it's usually just shortened to Glücksburg. Now, I do believe, because we have a queen in Denmark, when her son becomes king, I believe he will take the house name of his father. So then actually this house would no longer be reigning in Denmark into the future. But if Charles took that house name, then we would have the United Kingdom and Norway with that same house. Okay, so our goal here in this video is to trace the paternal line. So we've gone through Philip, to his father, to his father, to his father, and this is how as far back as we've gone so far, to this King Christian IX of Denmark, from whom we get all these various royal families. Now, the House of Glücksburg was actually a junior branch of the previous royal house that was reigning in Denmark. So that line is over here, and you can see it eventually died out because there were no male heirs, and so the throne passed through a daughter and another daughter who married into the Glücksburg family, and that's why we get a new house in Denmark called the House of Glücksburg. Now, I mentioned though that the Glücksburg branch is a junior branch of this particular family, and let's look and see why. So if we look here, again, we're looking at the male line. If we go through this father and trace this line, We have to go quite a far way back. In fact, not all the individuals are mentioned by name, but if we go back six generations, all male, we come back to this individual who was the son of a king of Denmark. So at this point, look, we've gone all the way back to the 1500s. We get a king, Christian III of Denmark, and his eldest son becomes king, and this is then the senior branch of the family, which goes all the way down to the 1800s when it dies out. But when it dies out, the line then passes through this junior branch of the family. So this individual has a younger brother who's a duke, and it is eventually the paternal descendants of that duke who then take over the Danish monarchy, the Danish throne. They inherit the throne, and the house name becomes known as the House of Glücksburg. But it's actually a junior house of this original house, and we'll get to that house name in just a moment. So if we're looking at paternal ancestors, we're all the way back here. So this individual here is a paternal ancestor of Charles, Prince of Wales, also of William and Prince George. So let's see how far back we can go. So if we look at that individual's father, and then we look at that individual's father, we come back here to an individual, King Christian I of Denmark. And he was the first individual from this house to reign in Denmark. So let's see where he comes from. We're going to have to go back 10 generations, again all male, because we're looking only at male descendants in this video. We have to go a long way back, all the way back to 1101, and we get this individual, Elamar I. He was the first Count of Oldenburg, and it is this house that eventually becomes the House of Glücksburg and would be the paternal house of Charles, Prince of Wales, if he were to take that name after his father. So the House of Oldenburg, they were originally counts in a place called Oldenburg, which is in Germany. And for many generations, the male descendants reigned as counts. And it wasn't until King Christian I of Denmark then that the Oldenburg family becomes kings. And they reign in Denmark for quite a long time. And again, that branch, here we get the branch off that eventually becomes the Glücksburgs. Now at this point, I also want to point out another branch of the family, the same Oldenburg family. If we go back here, King Christian III had a brother who is of a different branch of the family. If we go down 4 generations, we come to this individual, Charles Frederick, Duke of Holstein-Gottorp. He married into the Russian imperial family. And when the direct line of Romanovs couldn't find a male heir, the Romanov line passes through this daughter, Anna Petrovna, who had married this member of the Oldenburg family. And their son becomes Emperor Peter III. Now, we usually consider these individuals, we call them just the House of Romanov, but technically they are the House of Holstein-Gottorp Romanov, which would be considered a junior branch of the Oldenburgs. So if we go down to that last Tsar of Russia, the last emperor, Nicholas II, Nicholas II is actually a direct male line descendant of those original Oldenburgs in the same way that Charles, Prince of Wales, is. And also King Harold of Norway and Queen Margrethe of Denmark. So all of these individuals, if you trace their male-only lines, they go back to the same house. Now, final thing I will point out is one of the reasons why it's interesting to trace male-only lines. Not that that holds any kind of importance per se, or that males are better than females. But because of the way biology works, you probably know that males have an X and a Y chromosome, whereas females have an X and an X. So that means that a male always inherits the Y chromosome from the father, who inherits that Y chromosome from their father, and so forth. And the Y chromosome, because it only comes from one parent, doesn't mix. And so therefore the DNA in that chromosome stays fairly consistent over time. And we only see changes if we look at thousands upon thousands of years. So this is used by historians to trace migration patterns and so forth. And we actually know I should mention, they give these Y chromosomes, different Y chromosomes throughout history, names. These are called haplogroups. And so we know the haplogroup, Y chromosome haplogroup, that Charles, Prince of Wales belongs to. It is the haplogroup called R1b. R is in Robert, 1b. And that is the name of the Y chromosome haplogroup that he belongs to, and he would have that Y chromosome, and so would all of these kings of Greece, a lot of these kings of Denmark, these final emperors of Russia, the current king of Norway. All of these individuals would have that exact same Y chromosome. Now, interestingly though, the haplogroup R1b is the most common haplogroup in Western Europe today. So actually there's nothing all that special about that particular Y chromosome. If you're from Western Europe or you're from North America and you have European ancestors, there's a high likelihood that you actually have that exact same Y chromosome as well, of course, if you're male. And if you're female, perhaps your father had that Y chromosome. So eventually, if we trace all these paternal lines back, your own family would probably fit in there somewhere with all of these royals. So that is a look at the paternal side of Charles, Prince of Wales. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Again, if you're interested in buying a copy of this chart, it's available over on my website at usefulcharts.com. Thanks for watching.